I'm sitting here nursing a headache that I've had basically since yesterday because Sydney is just blanketed in smoke at the moment, and I'm kind of sensitive to that kind of stuff. And it's just wearing me down, and I feel terrible and everything. And I'm thinking about what I can make for a video today because I want to put up something today, but the video I had planned for the day is a lot of work, and with the headache, I just don't want to do it because it's just I can't concentrate, I can't focus. And then so I'm poking around online looking for something to talk about, and I find an article on comicbook.com about the new Batman film, and it's a bit like that thing that I spoke about a few days ago with the Star Wars stuff. Part of me wants to believe this is just bait. This is just something to get the fans all enraged about, so they talk about the thing online, and because, you know, any publicity is good publicity, and fan rage is always superb for just spreading the word and things like that, regardless of the negative sort of connotation of the rage and things like that. Then other people will point and laugh and go, oh, look how angry the nerds are, and then the nerds get even more outraged, and it's a whole big thing. Then again, it is Robert Pattinson saying this, and I've only ever seen one thing he's been in, to be honest with you. And yes, it was Twilight, which I watched out of absolute pure curiosity when it just became a big thing. And I went, well, you know what, if I'm going to make fun of this thing about sparkly vampires, I should at least watch it. And I watched it, and instant regret. Just terrible. From beginning to end, corner to corner. Terrible. Why did people like this shit? I have no idea. Anyway, so Robert Pattinson, sparkly vampire guy, or possibly werewolf guy. I don't know which one he played anymore. Who cares? Probably sparkly vampire. He's playing Batman in the new Matt Reeves The Batman movie. It's just called The Batman. I'm pretty excited about it because it's supposed to be the Batman I've been waiting for quite some time now. Not jumping around kung fu action hero Batman, but dark, murky, noir detective Batman. That's always been some of my favorite Batman stuff, when it's just slow and methodical, and Batman's brain. Because he's not just good at fighting. Batman's, you know, the world's greatest detective. That was always the tagline for it. So some of my favorite Batman stories have to do with him having to figure shit out and outthink someone else rather than just outfight them. On the article on comicbook.com, they say, in a new interview with Today, whatever Today is that a morning show? No idea. And the interviewer was asking him a very sort of dreary and obvious interview question. Was it, oh, did you always want to play a superhero? And Robert Pattinson corrected them immediately, saying, well, Batman's not a superhero because you need to have, like, actually, let me read the exact quote. You need to have, like, magical powers to be a superhero. It just sounds like such a Valley Girl thing to think. You need to have, like, magical powers to be a superhero? Batman isn't a superhero because it doesn't have magical powers, apparently. It continues on, digging the hole. Batman's not a hero. So not only is Batman not a superhero anymore, he's not a hero at all. He's a complicated character. That part's true, at least. It's one of the things I like about Batman, because he is complicated. Patterson explained, I don't think I could ever play a real hero, or a real actor for that matter. There's always got to be... Was that too harsh? That might have been too harsh. There's always got to be something a little bit wrong. Well, yeah, that's kind of every superhero. They've all got something a little bit wrong. They've all got that sort of conflict. That's part of what makes Superman so hard to make successful on the big screen, because they don't have time to sort of give him a proper flaw. I mean, oh, kryptonite, oh, no. Or you know, otherwise faced with something he can't just punch his way out of. That's the most interesting stuff about Superman. There's a reason why Superman's biggest villain is Lex Luthor, and there's a reason why Lex Luthor is best when he's not in a big robot suit trying to outpunch Superman. And it's the same thing on the flip side with Batman, because Batman constantly goes up against characters with magical powers and stuff. But that is the same dynamic with Batman, except turned around, because if you look at Batman's rogues gallery, most of his biggest threats are people with, like, magical superpowers and stuff. I mean, sure, you've got characters like Two-Face and the Penguin and Joker and the Riddler, who are just other people with you know, issues. They get issues. But then you look at Poison Ivy or Bane or Clayface or any number of superpowered or technologically enhanced or drug enhanced kind of villains. The point of Batman being a superhero is that he is just a guy. He doesn't have an extraordinary physical advantage beyond his own mind, his own training, his own will, his own determination, his own efforts to be the best he can possibly be because of the threats he faces out there that he feels deep inside in his rather complicated history that he has to protect other people against. That's what makes a hero. It's not heroic if the heavyweight champion of the world punches a toddler in the middle of the face and goes, "Hooray, I won that fight. You'll never steal cookies again, will you, toddler?" That's not heroic. The people in real life whom we call heroes, firefighters, for example, undisputed heroes, except for the ones who are secret arsonists, because that's a thing that happens in that career. They're attracted to fire but the legitimately sane firefighters, they risk life and limb every friggin' day, risking their own personal safety based on nothing but them being a normal person with the appropriate training and some good gear in an effort to save other people. And in the context of a comic book, a superhero is someone who goes above and beyond even that. Batman could have become, Bruce Wayne could have become a cop if all he wanted to do was be law and order guy. No, he went above and beyond because he's a little bit broken because of what happened to him. And so he decides to, out on his own, as a vigilante, dress up as a bat in order to scare the shit out of these villains and go up against these people who are clearly physically outmatching him. I mean, you've even got stories like Dark Knight Returns, the original comic book, the adaptions and the way they did in Batman v Superman, it sort of drew inspiration from that. But read the original Dark Knight Returns stuff, and it's incredible. And this is Batman, a man, an old human, frail man, going up against Superman, because that's what he believes is the right thing to do, because Superman has just become a tool of the establishment and stuff, and there's a whole political wonderful thing going on in that comic, but that's heroic. So I just want a big F you to Robert Pattinson for claiming that Batman not only isn't a superhero, but isn't a hero at all. Screw you. You don't understand the character at all. What are you doing playing Batman when you are that utterly ignorant of who and what and why Batman is? I guarantee you will never, ever, ever stop copping flack for that stupid throwaway comment in that stupid throwaway interview with that stupid throwaway interviewer asking the stupidest friggin' questions possible. I just plucked a couple of random Batman books off my shelf here, both of which would be prime reading material for Robert Pattinson to sort of try and get a handle on who and what Batman is. And the one is Batman Under the Red Hood, which, I mean, admittedly, you have to know a bit more about Batman history for this to have the full emotional weight of everything, but it does do a decent job of explaining some of the backstory you need to know, even if you haven't read the necessary backstory. This tells you who and what Batman is and why he is and what he's all about in just such a beautiful way. Another would be Hush, recently adapted into an animated form, not quite as good as the source material, but still. And then you've got this, Whatever Happened to the Caped Crusader. Neil Gaiman made this. This will tell you about what the Caped Crusader is all about as well, Robert Pattinson. I mean, just if you don't do anything else to learn about Batman, just read those two things. It'll take you like an afternoon, maybe a couple of afternoons, maybe 2 or 3 days, because I get a sense that you're not entirely cluey, so I don't know what your reading level is like, because you said yes to working on a film about sparkly vampires, presumably after reading it, the script. You read the script and you went, you know what? I want to be associated with that kind of writing. Yeah. Is Robert Pattinson an idiot? He might be. Is he any good at playing not an idiot? Can Matt Reeves direct him good enough to make him seem like he's not an idiot? Because right now, from this perspective, it looks like he's like the exact opposite of what Batman should be. I mean, I know an actor's job is to act and become someone else, but, the best actors pull from experience. And if Patterson doesn't have any experience of not being a screeching moron, how is he going to fold that into playing like the exact opposite of one of the cleverest, most capable people on the face of the planet? Let me read you what else he says. He's talking about the director. I love the director, Matt Reeves, and it's a dope character. Jesus wept. Batman is a dope character. His morality is a little off. No, his morality is actually a little on. He's got a deeper moral compass than Superman does, because Superman can, will, and has killed. Batman, that's kind of the one thing he absolutely refuses to do. No guns, no killing. That, in my opinion, puts Batman in a higher moral playground than even Superman. I mean, Batman does a lot of things that are morally great in order to achieve a result that is, nobody dies today. And that is one of the things that people hated most about several iterations of Batman on the big screen, in that he just kind of kills indiscriminately, just blows people up with rockets from his car and dynamite and stuff like that. Remember the '89 Batman movie? It was brilliant. I love that. It was so dark and gritty and, oh, Batman. But there was a point where he just flat out kills people. And I was like, even as a kid watching that, I was like, no, you've missed the point of Batman. That is also what makes Batman a superhero. Just having that line in the sand he will not cross. But let me continue. His morality is a little off. He's not the golden boy, unlike almost every other comic book character. Again, no. The purpose of these comic book superheroes, and all the best ones, are because they're not golden. They're doing the best they can. I mean, there's a reason why the most popular characters are the ones with some of the deepest flaws and just the struggles to go against. I mean, a lot of the characters that Stan Lee was responsible for, at least co-creating, share this sort of this deep, very, very human flaw. None of them are golden boys. I mean, again, Superman is the one that comes closest to being a golden boy, and he used to be written quite a lot that way until sort of the comics got a lot more nuanced and people started to figure out, well, just being ultimate golden boy, big blue Boy Scout, isn't really the most interesting way to write him. So they started to write him with more and more flaws. The article finishes up in Robert Patterson having a glimpse of self-awareness and the slightest sliver of self-awareness coming through. And he says, I just fear that whenever I talk about Batman, people are like, what does this mean? And I don't know. I used to be very good at censoring myself, but I've said so many ridiculous things over the years. I'm always like curious when I'm promoting these movies about how many times I can mess up. It feels like when every movie comes out, there's always a quote of me like, it's just like, what kind of out-of-body experience produced that screaming nonsense? Yeah, exactly, Rob Patterson. Maybe you just shouldn't do videos. Maybe you should shut up. Maybe you should learn about the character you are allegedly going to portray on screen before you talk about them. One of the most beloved and celebrated and honored comic book heroes, Batman, and saying, well, he's not really a hero because he doesn't have magical powers. That's flaw one of understanding Batman. That is the absolute base level, sort of the initial scaffolding, like the foundation hasn't even been put down yet. They've got the basic scaffolding in which to pour the foundation of Batman, and that is, he's just a man and he doesn't have any superpowers. That doesn't automatically mean he's not a superhero. What he does makes him a superhero. How he does it makes him a superhero. His never, ever, ever giving up and never, ever, ever killing makes him a superhero. Doing what he does without becoming what he's trying to fight against, and doing so without like magical powers and stuff, is the point of Batman. I'm getting so worked up here, my headache has gotten a lot worse. So I'm going to go drink a buttload of water, take some painkillers and lie down and try not to think about just exactly how badly Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson are going to screw up what I was really hoping was going to be finally just excellent Batman gritty noir detective movie story thing. But every new piece of information that comes out about it, I'm like, oh, Christ. Yeah, they're putting in too many villains again. They're making it overly complicated again. Simple it down. Simple it all the way down. So yeah, there goes all my hopes and dreams for a good Batman movie.